This is the Sixth Man Show, an Orlando Magic podcast, with your hosts, Luke Sylvia and Jonathan Osborne, covering all things Magic basketball. By fans, for fans. Go Magic. What's going on, Orlando Magic fans? You guys are back with the Sixth Man Show. Today is February 6th, 2023. Jonathan Osborne here, as always, joined by my co-host Luke Sylvia. Luke, Magic on a nice little two-game win streak here. What's up?
Little two-gamer. We love that. I would love to stretch this out to another sixer. Is that possible? The Knicks up next, and we'll get into the rest, I'm sure, in the the week ahead. But man, it feels good. It feels good to feel like we're back on track and getting closer to that play-in talk for sure.
Yeah, I'm not mad at that whatsoever. We are going to get into all of those details. Really quickly, I want to give a big shout out to our friends over at Rock'em Socks, who sent us, if you're watching on YouTube, if you're not watching on YouTube, you need to go to the YouTube video to enjoy these for all of their glory. I've got the Paolo Banchero sock here. I've got the Stuff mascot sock. I've got Franz Wagner. I've got the Orlando City edition here, and I've got Bull. So a big shout out to our friends over at Rock'em Socks who sent these over for us to try out. If you guys want to take a look at these, because not only do they have the 5 designs that I just mentioned, they've got 20 plus designs at rockemsocks.com. You can just search for the Orlando Magic there and find all of that. And just as a special thing for our listeners, we're going to be giving away this pair of Bull. This is the large XL. If you're bigger than an XL, God bless. But I'm a large, extra large over here. We're giving away one pair here. I don't know what the shoe size is on this. I wear a 9.5, and large is good for that. If you're like 9.5, 10, 10.5, somewhere around there, I'm sure you'll be fine. But just comment on this YouTube video if you want a pair of these Bull Rock'em socks here. We'll go ahead and give those away. So big shout out to those folks.
I also want to add, Jonathan, I went and I'm looking at their site, and they have a pretty sick option on there for some of their socks, especially Orlando Magic. But you can even do like an Orlando Magic, what they call like a custom jersey sock. So you can put whatever number you want on it. You could put a player's number and name. Like you can put your last name. It goes down the sock, like on the back. So pretty sweet. I just went in there and put my last name on it, and it shows you in real time what it will look like. And it's not terrible either, especially for a custom. $24.99 for a pair of socks with your last name on it or whatever you want to say on it. It might be worth the cop there. So I might be looking into a pair of those. I don't know.
And the print quality on these is great. I haven't put them on yet, but I can just you can get a pair of socks sometimes. These are going to be comfy. These are really nice material. Again, rockemsocks.com. That's ROCKEM socks.com. Make sure that you guys check those out. And again, thanks to our friends over at Rock'em Socks for sending those over. And a big shout out to everybody that came out Friday night to the watch party that we had at Saddle Up. Our boy Ben Gifford was there holding it down. I know our boy Jonathan Zahner came through with the big Go Magic sign. We had an awesome photo up on our Twitter and Instagram of all the folks that came out and showed out for that. So again, Magic got a big W. You got to see the Orlando Fightin Magic pick up a win over the Minnesota Timberwolves. We'll talk more about that in a little bit. But if you missed this one and you're looking forward to the next watch party, we're having another one coming up on March 3rd. This is going to be at Burton's, 801 East Washington Street. That game is going to tip off at 6:30. I believe, the Magic are taking on the Charlotte Hornets that night. So make sure that you guys come out. Magic got a win over the Hornets today. Charlotte's not really a good basketball team this season. So right now, we are 4-1 on the season in terms of six-man show by Orlando Magic by Michelob Ultra watch parties. The only one that we lost was the first game of the year against the Detroit Pistons. Since then, we are 4-0. So come out, have a good time. Michelob Ultra special as always, and just keep the win streak going. These are a lot of fun. The energy is always great, always a super fun time. So again, that's going to be March 3rd at 6:30 Eastern at Burton's, which is located at 801 East Washington Street.
There was another place that we had a watch party out on East Washington.
I feel like we've had them all over the place now. I'm becoming much more familiar with like the Orlando like metro area. Yes. Very nice.
It is Cavos is actually also on East Washington, 900 East Washington. So I knew that street, but yeah, like you said, I'm also learning kind of the ins and outs of Orlando, which is sweet. But yeah, I mean, I think that somebody, you know how there's been jokes about like the NFL, the script of the NFL lately, that people are like, you know, they're so and so reading their part for the script of whatever year. I feel like there's a script when we have watch parties, because the last few have just been electric. The first one, obviously, the season opener was electric despite the loss. Not a loss since then. That's all I'm saying. And they've all been a lot of fun. And, you know, Golden State, Boston. I don't remember who the other one was.
Chicago, the game winner from Jalen Suggs.
Chicago game winner.
Minnesota, a fight broke out.
Yeah, man. Electric. Got to be there. Unfortunately, we weren't there, but March 3rd, I believe we both plan on attending. So we'll be there.
We will be there.
See what's ready for that.
Luke, I'm going to go a little bit off script here. I kind of hinted before we started recording that there were going to be some things I didn't really, clue you in on. People are telling us to apologize to Cole Anthony. I don't think we owe Cole Anthony an apology. I don't think we said anything that was wrong. However, I will give flowers where flowers are due. I will give credit where credit is due. So we had an episode that released on January 23rd where we spent a handful of minutes, give or take, maybe it was 5 to 10 minutes, somewhere around there, where we talked about the fact that Cole Anthony was struggling so far offensively to start the season, and just kind of outlining what those struggles were, mainly that he just was not being consistent. And I want to give credit where credit is due. So that was January 23rd. So the Magic have had 7 games since that episode came out. Now, Cole Anthony may or may not listen to the 6-Man show. The numbers that I am going to give you in a moment here, I tend to think there is a non-zero chance that he listens to the 6-Man show. So in 7 games since January 23rd, the Magic are 4-3. In almost 24 minutes, Cole Anthony is averaging 14.6 points per game. He's shooting 53% from the floor. He's shooting 45% from the three-point line, 83% from the free throw line. He's adding 5 rebounds, 3 assists, a little bit more than half a steal, a little bit more than half a block, 3-to-1 turnover ratio. Not saying he listens to the show, but if it takes us criticizing Cole Anthony, if he's not being consistent, to get play like this, number one, you are all welcome, and I will do that as much as necessary, because Cole Anthony has been legitimately awesome off of the bench the last 7 games. It just so happened to coincide with an episode where we criticized him for not being consistent. In the last 7 games, he's been very consistent. He's on a hot streak right now. I would love nothing more than for this to continue, Luke.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to be said about Cole Anthony as of late. I think even defensively, although just his frame and all of that tends to pose an issue with especially bigger guards or whoever it might be in that respect, when Cole Anthony is giving you what he's giving you as of late offensively, you tend to forget about the defensive stuff. And as of late, Cole Anthony's come in the game, and I'm actually happy about it, whether that's subconsciously or what, but like I notice that I'm not dreading him coming into the game. There was a time this season, many times, where he would come into the game and I'd be like, please not now. But as of late, man, like you outlined, the last 7 games, he's been impressive. He's been impressive. He's making shots that are difficult shots, but he's making them consistently. And I don't think he's really trying to do too much. He's been efficient. I don't know. I don't know if this is maybe a shift of like embracing that 6-man role that we could clearly tell even in interviews like his post-game with Dante not too long ago, where he was like, I'm a starter and I know that and I'm just going to keep doing my thing. But at that point, he wasn't doing his thing, in my opinion, like not consistently. And now it just feels like he's in a rhythm. And I don't know why, but he's in a rhythm, man, and he's not trying to do too much. Like I said, that is the biggest thing, and I cannot emphasize that enough, is that he's just doing what he's letting the game come to him, and even moving the ball around a little bit more than he used to. I really have loved Cole Anthony as of late, and I'm glad you went back and saw what the numbers were since we took to criticizing, but it is a lot of fun to see him right now.
He's been, again, nothing short of, like you said, impressive. He's been fantastic. And this is what we had always kind of envisioned when we were like, okay, maybe he's not a starter long-term in this league, but he's like the perfect, like, quintessential sixth man. Like, if he 53%, 45% from the three-point line, like, that is not going to keep up. But right. Even if he's 45%, field goal percentage, 45 to 48, somewhere around there, 37% and up 3-point percentage, like, I will take that all day. It's never been a question of whether or not Cole Anthony is capable. It's just about him being able to give you that on a consistent basis. And again, I don't know if he has maybe had a change in mindset. And I don't think his comments. I think it was actually Jeff Turner. I think they were on the road and asked Cole Anthony, how do you feel about the sixth man, coming in off the bench? And like you said, he mentioned, he feels like he's a starter. And you want a guy to feel that way. You want him to be confident. So I don't know if it's been a change in that kind of mindset, or he's just getting more acclimated to playing with those guys, and he's in a rhythm, and he knows when he's going to come in and what he's being asked to do, and he's executing really, really well. So, we are a very biased Orlando Magic podcast. We're fans here, just like, all of you listening. And, we want to keep it real. So when we feel like it is warranted to criticize and point out that a guy is not performing to our standard and what we expect from him, we feel like we should do that. On the flip side of that, you have to be able to go back and say, all right, we criticized him, but now he totally deserves credit for playing really, really well. So we'll always try to do that. So I want to take a moment here and just shout out Cole Anthony, because the kid has been awesome, and I really, really hope that it continues.
And I want to add real quick, Jonathan, I don't think, because there's a lot of people that love Cole Anthony. They just head over heels in love with Cole Anthony. And I think that's great to support players and whatever. From my perspective, this is not me saying at all that because of Cole's play, he should be a starter on this team. I think that, like, this role has been what has catapulted him as of late. This 6-man role, not having to start the game, just coming off the bench and being the best guy off the bench. And that type of role is where he will excel. And I think that's, I don't want people to hear me saying that Cole Anthony necessarily is supposed to be a starter, but I love the role that he is within right now. And I'm interested to see if he can keep it up. If this is sustainable. Obviously the efficiencies are not sustainable, but just the way that he is playing, that is sustainable in terms of what he's doing, the decision making that he is doing right now. I'm interested to see how long this can carry on. I really hope it does.
Let's get into the state of the Magic. This week, the Magic went 3-1, bringing them to a record of 22-32 on the season. They have the 5th worst record in the league. They're currently 13th in the Eastern Conference, but 3 games back of Indiana for the final play-in spot. I also got a request, I should say, from producer Kevin to just kind of go through the standings and just kind of how far back the Magic are of each team. So if we look kind of as far as like the Atlanta Hawks, who I think are maybe starting to get a little bit out of reach for the Magic. So the Atlanta Hawks are 8th in the Eastern Conference. The Magic are 5 games back of them. They are 4 games back of the Chicago Bulls, who are in 9th. The Washington Wizards, the Magic are 3 games back of them. The Washington Wizards are in the 10th spot right now. It looks like some games have kind of wrapped up here since I went through. Yeah, Indiana lost. So the Magic were 3 games back of Indiana, who was in 10th. They lost to the Cleveland Cavaliers, so they dropped down half a game. So the Magic are 3 games back of Washington, who is 10th. They are 2.5 games back of the Indiana Pacers at 11, and they're 2 games back of Toronto, who is sitting there at 12. So if you're paying attention to those, 5 or 6 teams that are kind of in the Eastern Conference play-in bubble, that's where the Magic are as of today. The Magic have an offensive rating of 111.6, which ranks 25th in the league. They have a defensive rating of 114.5, which ranks 23rd in the league. Their overall net rating is negative 2.9, which is good for 26th in the league. However, Luke, I was looking at these numbers earlier, and I'm like, man, 25, 23rd, 26 offensive, defensive net rating. Feels like the Magic have been playing so much better than that as of late, but we're really not seeing that shift in those rankings across the league. Obviously, most teams have played, over, 52, 53, 54 games, somewhere around there. So I wanted to get a smaller sample size of just like the Magic and how well they've been playing recently. So I went back to the last 15 games. So if we adjust all of those numbers only for the last 15 games for the Magic, their offensive rating has been 113.9, which would rank 20th in the league. So 5 spots up from 25th. Their defensive rating in the last 15 games would be 13th in the league, and their overall net rating over the last 15 games would be negative 0.6, which would rank 19th in the league. So we all feel like the Magic have been playing much better as of late, and they definitely have. Depending on what statistics you're looking at over the last 15 games, the Magic are like 8th in the East in a lot of those rankings. So
what did you say we were for defensive rating?
13th over the last 15 games.
And to go a step further, Jonathan, it looks like since December 5th, which was when the Magic, became 5-20, essentially, in 30 games, I believe the Magic are 9th in defensive rating, and offensive rating not really near that number, but the defensive rating on the defensive end has been a lot better, and that's obviously, you've seen the stretch that we've had. It makes sense that at least on one side of the ball, Magic are significantly better than what the overall shows.
Yeah. So I just wanted to give everybody some context. We talked about how, on the last episode, don't give up on this Magic team, even though it seems like some other teams are starting to get a little bit too far for them to reach. The Magic really are not that far back. They're a couple of teams going on a losing streak and the Magic going on a winning streak to being right there in the play-in conversation. We've already seen this team go on a 6-game winning streak in the month of December. I don't give up on this team just yet. I know some people might be, getting, just kind of fatigued. It's a long season. I get that. Trust me. No two people understand that more than Luke and myself. But the Magic are right there. If they continue to improve, they're getting healthy and guys are starting to get into a rhythm. And this is starting to look like a good, competent basketball team. We have the potential to do something special, the last 30 some odd games here, 28 games, 26 games, whatever they have left at this point. So yeah, just stay tuned, keep paying attention to this team. They're playing really well as of late, and they still have a chance. Looking at the injury front, Chuma Okeke, he is still out after having that chondroplasty to trim up the cartilage in his left knee. I believe that was back in December, if I'm not mistaken. He has resumed on-court activities, but is not quite yet to make his return. So we'll just continue to watch out. The Kobe Prices, the Philip Rossman Reichs, the NBA injury reports of the world. We talked about on the last episode that this past Thursday, the NBA All-Star reserves were going to be announced. No shocker to either of us. Neither of the Magic players were listed there. Who knows what's going to happen, with reserves and people not being able to play. It doesn't seem likely at this point that the Magic really never seemed likely at any point that the Magic were going to have an all-star this year. But just the fact that in year 2, Franz Wagner was kind of on the outskirts of that conversation. In year 1, Paolo Banchero, 8th in Eastern front court voting. The fact that he's kind of in the outskirts of that conversation. The fact that those guys are being talked about in the same breath as the all-star game is a really big deal and should not be overlooked. Both of those guys are going to play in the Rising Stars game. No Jalen Suggs. Kind of surprising, not totally surprising. I think there's going to be like 7 G Leaguers in the Rising Stars game, which to me is really bizarre. I know they're trying to just kind of grow the popularity of the G League, and I commend them for that, but taking away like actual NBA guys from being able to be in the Rising Stars game is kind of weird. I know it's 12 and 12, 12 sophomores, 12 rookies, which I think is how it's always been. but now they've also integrated these 7 G League players. So whatever. Jalen Suggs is a really good basketball player. I don't want to have a whole Jalen Suggs conversation right now, but and this is going to sound silly, if you can look away from his shot making, which is like it goes in or it doesn't, if you can look away from all of that, like Jalen Suggs is a very good basketball player. I still have all of my Jalen Suggs stock. The Suggs train is coming, folks. Do not worry. One other thing that I wanted to point out here, Luke, before we get into some other things and get into the games, December 5th, when the Magic lost 109-102 at home to the Milwaukee Bucks, it was their 9th straight loss. It made them 5-20 on the season. Since then, the Magic are 17-12, and against teams above 500 when the Magic played them, in that stretch, they are 9-5 versus teams above 500. 2 of those losses, there was a 5-point loss to the Heat from last week, and the 3-point loss to the Nuggets, where Jokic hits that crazy 3 to win the game. So you flip those 2 results, all of a sudden the Magic are 11-3 in their last 14 games versus teams above 500. When we talk about this team being good, when we talked about the beginning of this season, like preseason, before Markelle Fultz, before Gary Harris, before we didn't know that Jonathan Isaac wasn't coming back until basically the end of January, we talked about this team potentially being a play-in team, and people laughed. You see the Vegas under-over win total set at 26.5. You're like, wow, 4.5 games more than last year when they were absolutely terrible and won 22 games. When we talked about all of this, this is the team that we envisioned. And I feel pretty vindicated the last 2 months, basically. The Magic are a good team. And you're still seeing this narrative around the league that, Minnesota lost to a bad team, or Boston lost to a bad team, or Orlando's a bad team. Whatever the case may be, people are slowly waking up to the fact that this is not a bad team. This was a criminally injured team for the better part of the first quarter and a half of the season.
Yeah, I mean, and listen, man, this team is only going to get better. I don't think that's a shock to anybody listening to this. If we could guarantee, Jonathan, that our podcast would hit the ears of people that aren't Magic fans, we'd be going on a much longer rant right now. We don't need to tell you guys necessarily how good this team can be. The fact that you have 2 guys in the All-Star conversation and the stretch that they've had since December 5th to go 5-20 against the Bucks, like I'm proud of this team. And I said it against, when Kevin and I recorded a couple episodes ago, where I told myself and I told Kevin, whenever Jonathan asks me from here on out about the play-in chances and what I think, I'm just going to say I don't think they're going to make it, just to protect my little heart. And I can't stay away, Jonathan. I can't. And I can't wipe this dumb smile off my face that this team is back in the conversation, and I feel totally different. For the 30th time this season, I've changed emotion on if I think this team is going to make the play-in. I really hope we do. That has not wavered. I have, since the jump of this season, hoped that the Magic would make the play-in this year. I would just think that they would be so much fun, because I don't think that they're a 10 seed, 9 seed, anything like that. If this team can be a 10 seed and they play a 9 seed in that play-in game, I really think that we will feel confident in that game. I really do. And I just want us to get there. That's the hard part. We are going to be kicking ourselves for that 5-20 start, I think. But I really hope that this team can make it. But yeah, the Magic, just when I think that I've pretty much given up and I've thrown in the towel, they're back again. And it's the same thing with end games. It's the same, right? Like, we think they're out of the game, they come roaring back and they give a last ditch effort, regardless of how poorly they started the game. It's the same thing with the season. You start 5-20, you get healthy, everybody gets to have some continuity in the lineups in these rotations. Cole Anthony playing his butt off because of continuity and getting to play with the same guys all the time. You see it right now, right? It's the Magic were still able to win despite rotations being different tonight against Charlotte, because of just how well that they have been gelling all together and the stride that they've hit as a team. despite the suspension. So I really am hopeful that the Magic make a run, and I'm getting suckered back in.
We said to start the season, what does a successful season look like for the Orlando Magic? And it is the last couple of weeks of the season, you are in the hunt for the play-in game. And that is still true today. But when you look at the start they had, 5-20, the fact that you still might have a chance the last couple of weeks at the play-in, it is a massively successful season. We said it was going to be successful, like everybody healthy, you make the play-in, or you get close to the play-in, that's great. Given all of the other stuff that we went through, 5-20, losing all these guys to injury, the 9-game losing streak, and now going on this, awesome run, the last couple of months here. Magic 5 games above 500 in their last 29 games. That's almost half the season. That's not a small sample size. That is relevant. That is significant. So yes, they may kick themselves if they end up missing the play-in by 2, 3, 4 games.
Yeah.
But the fact that you miss the play-in by 2, 3, or 4 games is a massive success in and of itself. So
yeah. And
I'm hoping they're able to close the gap a little bit and miss it by a game or 2. That would be awesome. Or make it in. That would be insane. But it is trending that this is going to be a very memorable and successful season.
There's one thing I want to add, Jonathan.
We got a long way to go, though. Let me add that. Sorry.
Yeah, for sure. No, I want to add one more thing. A while ago, I remember YouTube comments, and I probably shouldn't, but I do. And I don't remember your name, and I wouldn't blast you anyway, but you'll know who you are. I made a comment about something in the context of the teams that the Magic played that week, or that had the week ahead, or the week in the past, sucked. They are terrible. And someone in the comments is like, "How can you say that? This team is terrible." No, they're not. They're not terrible by any means. And as we have said, and this is just to kind of further the point, that we've just been very injured. This team at no point, in my opinion, was terrible with a healthy roster, right? So that's why I confidently can say certain teams suck. The Hornets, they suck. They are not good. There are times where I was like, man, I feel comfortable with this game. I'm fine. We're down 8, we're down 9, whatever it was early on. I don't care. This team's not that great. And the Magic show you that team is not great. The Magic come back and then win the game, and it never felt out of hand at any point. And I think that's what you expect from a good team. It's to be expected. Sluggish start doesn't matter. You find it within you to close the gap, take the lead, hold on to the lead, win the game. That's what this team does. And yes, so teams suck. Teams can suck in our mind, guys. I know that there's been so long where we felt like we couldn't say that because we did suck. We don't suck. We don't.
We don't suck.
We don't suck. Ah!
Yeah.
So yeah, I just wanted to make that point. I love you, whoever made that comment, but I did want to. I think about it often, I will say.
Yeah, Luke Sylvia, that guy can hold a grudge. I promise you that.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
Let's go ahead and shout out the folks that help financially support the show, our lovely patrons. If you have not heard or you're a new listener, we do have a Patreon community that you can join. You can find us at patreon.com/The Six Man Show for $2 a month plus some other tiers. Again, you can help financially support the show. We host monthly Zoom hangouts with our Hall of Fame and Elite tier patrons, where they can just come and hang out and talk Orlando Magic basketball with us. Our Elite tier, our Hall of Fame tiers, and our All-Star tier, you all get access to our Discord channel, so you can just hang out in Discord and talk Orlando Magic basketball all day, every day with us and a ton of other Orlando Magic fans. It's really a lot of fun. We shout out brand new patrons every episode that we have them. This episode, I want to give a special shout out to Ramon Gomez, who joined at our All-Star tier. Really, really appreciate that, Ramon. Make sure that you go ahead and connect your Patreon account to your Discord account if you have one. If you don't have a Discord account, go ahead and create that and link that to your Patreon account so you can join our Discord community. And want to let you guys know we're getting very close to 100 patrons, which is really, really crazy to say that. We started the Patreon about a year and a half ago, and at that time, I didn't know that we would ever have 100 patrons. So really, really exciting. And we have some awesome giveaways planned specifically for our patrons once we hit 100 patrons. So if you have ever thought about joining our Patreon, now is the time to do so, and you'll be entered into that Patreon giveaway whenever we go ahead and do that. So again, find us at patreon.com/the6man show. One other thing that we do each episode is we shout out all of our Hall of Fame and Elite Tier patrons. As always, we'll start with Court Cousins, Armin, Carson Tulo, Jonathan Borges, Normal, Magic Player History, Julio, Gabe Gaines, Wiffle, Michael Martin, Michael Salapong, The Distract, Mo Bamba, Yo Mama. It's not okay, K, to say Okiki, Pierre A, Migzors, Nostalgia and M&M's, Dylan Holden, Mr. Mikey, Lil Penny, Eduardo Sanchez, Jerome Danimal, Duddo15, Bobby Skinner, Goody93, Teddy Sylvia, Eric Lopez, Fuchsia, Juan Geraldo, Bill Fulton, Edmund Lagone, Hosea Squealin, Destin for Greatness, Kayla Pete, Cannibalism, Time Mr. TV, Joe Rothfuss, ESPN Really Sucks, Gear 95 Shred, Junior Barus, Half Freakin, Shahin 177, Bolby the Don, Himlo Band Himro, Improv 221, Ray Pastrana, Magic Kid 714, Let's Spank, Don't Tank, Soft Taco, Jesse, Barry M, Johnny B, Fuego Nando, and really quickly, it's not okay to say Okiki. You got to change your name because every single time I go through this, my brain wants to say Okiki, and I have to stop and wait. I'm like, okay, what order does this go in again? It's not okay to say Okiki. I get it. Please change your Patreon name. But a big shout out to all of our Hall of Fame and Elite Tier patrons and to all of our patrons. Find us at patreon.com/the6man show. The Orlando Fightin Magic, baby. Getting in the scraps left and right this season. Luke, let's talk about the T-Wolves game, and let's just jump to the Austin Rivers thing. All right?
Yeah.
What quarter was that? Was it the third quarter?
I don't. That whole game was a blur. I don't remember.
I'm pretty positive this occurred in the third quarter. The Magic are on the left side of our screen, like the Magic bench, left side of the screen. The second half, the Minnesota Timberwolves offense is going that way. The Magic come down. This is such a blur. I don't remember if we made a basket, whatever happened. I see Kobe Price because I'm watching on a stream. My stream is usually anywhere from like 30 to 2 minutes, 30 seconds to 2 minutes behind what is actually happening in live time. So I have to try to ignore Kobe Price's tweet notifications sometimes. He tweets that a fight has broken out in front of the Magic bench. And I'm just watching the TV. I'm like, here we freaking go again. And then all of a sudden, like, you see the scuffle break out. Mo Bamba, Austin Rivers, Jalen Suggs is in there. Cole Anthony is in there. Jaden McDaniels, Taurean Prince, Anthony Edwards. Like, there's just bodies all over the place. Like, Magic assistant coaches, T-Wolves coaches. Like, it's just all over the place. Then when we finally get, like, this weird aerial view of what is happening, I think it's the Target Center in Minnesota. I don't remember. But Austin Rivers is, like, deep in our bench, like, screaming at Mo Bamba. And I'm like, bro, what are you doing? Mo Bamba gets up. It looks like Mo Bamba throws a punch. Austin Rivers throws a punch. They start tackling each other. Jalen Suggs, like, tackles Austin Rivers around the neck. Maybe we need to have a separate Jalen Suggs conversation because I didn't think this was going to be, like, controversial. I didn't think that Jalen Suggs deserved to be suspended. He got suspended, obviously. We're jumping in that part of the conversation. Like, Anthony Edwards is picking Cole Anthony up off of the pile like a toddler and just, like, kind of moving him out of the way. Apparently, after the scuffle, Mo Bamba runs back to, like, the tunnel that connects the away and home locker rooms. He goes over to the home locker room, like, still trying to fight Austin Rivers. There's 5 ejections. Mo Bamba's ejected. Austin Rivers is ejected. Jalen Suggs is ejected. Jaden McDaniels is ejected. And Taurean Prince is ejected. I believe nothing really happened to Taurean Prince after the fact. No fines. I think Jaden McDaniels was fined $20,000. Mo Bamba suspended for 4 games. Austin Rivers suspended for 3 games. Jalen Suggs suspended for 1 game. Just a total crap show. And the Magic had the lead at this point. They're playing pretty well. and you're like, oh, well, this is going to like ruin, this momentum that we have. Wasn't the case. The Magic go on a nice run to close out that quarter, build up to a 21-point lead early in the fourth quarter. They go on to win the game. I just think like this game starts and ends with the Mo Bamba Austin Rivers thing.
Yeah, that was crazy. First of all, I'm like sitting on the couch watching the game. Lauren's next to me with Cole, and we're just minding our business.
Not Cole Anthony.
Yeah, correct. Cole Anthony was not also getting ragdolled and on my couch. All right. Anyway. So no, the TV viewing experience was terrible for this thing. Like, you have the camera that I'm assuming is underneath like the video board or something, like their half court camera. It was a terrible viewing experience. You didn't really get the full thing. Thankfully, as time went on, we saw like the interactions, the picture of like in the video of Mo Bamba like sticking his tongue out. That was hilarious. I'm not a Mo Bamba guy by any means, but that night made me a Mo Bamba guy. I don't know what he was saying. Kevon Harris said that he basically was telling Austin Rivers this isn't high school anymore. And if you guys don't know, Austin Rivers has the sickest mixtape from high school. But all that to say, if that is what got Austin Rivers, that's ridiculous. Now, I will say, if he said that and then that's kind of like the straw that broke the camel's back because Mo had been saying some crazy stuff every time down the court, I could maybe see it. And that's just maybe the thing. Who knows what else Mo said? I want to know so badly, but we'll never know. And that's what really sucks. Yeah, I think that Austin Rivers posts to his Instagram story after the altercation and everything and says, buddy, I went at you 1-on-5 with no backup. You needed your teammates, otherwise you would have been choked out. Austin, you can't reach that high. Like, let's not act like you can choke Mo Bamba out. I don't care what Mo Bamba's fighting technique or skills are like or lack thereof. It doesn't matter. You're not choking him out. You can say all that. And I love that he talks about Jonathan like, I went in there 1-on-5. Like,
your whole team
it's an NBA game. It's an NBA game, not a street fight. And you went over there. You went over there and you didn't think anything was going to happen either, which is why you went 1-on-5. You just thought you were going to say whatever you were going to say and walk away. But hey, this team is competitive. They're crazy. Like, let's not get that twisted. Young NBA players are crazy. Like, they're nuts. And they would love nothing more than for there to be able to be like a fight a game. And it'd be legal. So Austin Rivers, first also talking about Mo Bamba's only known for a song. Austin Rivers has averaged double digits twice in his 50-year career, okay? He's made a great living in the NBA, but he just has no room to get disrespectful because the disrespect can be thrown way more at him than it can even at a guy like Mo Bamba. So regardless of what you think of the guy. But I thought it was just clownery. Mo Bamba really hurt himself by coming that far off the bench. That got him one game. Going back to the locker room, that probably got him a couple. And then it might have been one game with the altercation, I think, if he didn't like actually come off the bench at Austin Rivers and just throw basically a punch. So I don't know, man. It was crazy. It made it exciting. Yeah, man. There's not much else to say about this game besides the fact that I thought it was really impressive that they extended the lead after that. That they were able to keep, because like I said, young kids are crazy. It's hard to keep yourself in check sometimes. And they used whatever maybe anger or revenge for Mo and whatever it was and Jalen. Like, they used all that and really, I don't know, centered it. I don't know what the word is, but they kept it all together and extended the lead. I was really proud of how they handled it after. I don't know that I love that a fight happened, but I think that's what I'm supposed to say. I think I kind of did. I didn't hate it.
See, I can't be a hypocrite and say like, oh, I love hockey fights, and then say, oh, I hate guys fighting in basketball. Like, these are grown men. They're throwing punches. Like, as long as it's not anything crazy, like, I'm
like
fine
Killian
with it.
Hayes.
I mean,
that was crazy.
I didn't even think that was that crazy. Like,
well, just the fact that he hit him in the back of the head. That was crazy,
which is crazily dangerous, but he wasn't like, oh, I'm going to punch this guy in the back of the head and try to murder him. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I understand the context that it's a very dangerous thing to do. And this is kind of a segue into like the Jalen Suggs thing. Like, Jalen Suggs comes over and grabs Austin Rivers by the neck. Yes, it is a dangerous thing to do, but we all know that that was not Jalen Suggs' intent. And then he gets ejected from the game. I thought that was as far as that needed to go. Now, Chris Finch, the head coach for the Minnesota Timberwolves, and Austin Rivers post-game, like, just kind of crying about it. Chris Finch saying, well, they had a guy come off the bench and throw a punch, which is one of the most egregious things I've ever seen. Your dude, like, went all the way into the Orlando Magic bench. It's not like he was standing on the court in front of the bench. Like, he came off the court and went, like, almost like a row into, like, the stands to confront Mo Bamba. So, like, that's why he came off the bench, because your dude was in the bench. Like, let's not
get the epitome of
mistaken.
F around and find out.
Yeah, the Mo Bamba Instagram thing. Absolutely. If Mo Bamba is traded, that is what Mo Bamba will be remembered for the most.
That's fine.
This altercation, the Instagram story after the fact, absolutely hilarious and incredible. Jalen Suggs is trying to break up the fight. Like, maybe you want to grab your own teammate, in that, instance. I know the optics of it are not great. It is a dangerous thing, grabbing a guy around the neck like that. He got ejected from the game. I didn't think it needed to be anything more than that. Now, Mo Bamba, like, after the fact, like, going to the locker room, maybe you can talk me into the 4-game thing. Austin Rivers, 3 games. I mean, threw a punch. That's what Killian Hayes got for throwing a punch. I get that. To me, this isn't that big of a deal. Like, it's not. I like fights in hockey. I like to see. I like combat sports. I like watching the UFC. I like a little, punches with my action sports. Like, to me, it's not that big of a deal. People that want to be like, get these thugs the hell out of here. Like, it is so not that deep.
Yeah, no, that like, it's not Ja Morant activity. All right.
Listen, okay. First of all, that is being argued about what actually happened with all that. Now, Ja Morant did once tell a fan, I believe, that you can get these hollows for free. That is not a great look. But the other stuff that, the Indiana Pacers stuff, which may or may not have happened. Who's the coach? David Yeager for the Minnesota. No, Taylor Jenkins. Why am I thinking David Yeager? Good grief. I'm going back in the time machine here. Taylor Jenkins, the coach of the Memphis Grizzlies, said the NBA did a whole investigation on that and, like, it was unfounded. So I don't want to get into that. Now, if that is true, then that's one of the craziest things I've ever heard. Like, that's some, Gilbert Arenas, Javaris Crittenton stuff that, is going on at that point. But I liked it. Like, I like the fact that this team is not going to put up with other teams' crap. I don't care that Austin Rivers is a, so many year veteran or whatever coming over to our bench. Like, Mo Bamba, get up, like, defend yourself. If you feel disrespected, get up, defend yourself. The Mo Wagner thing, like, I don't want to get into all of that again, but, like, our guys coming down from the other bench, defending their teammate. I'm very proud of our guys for staying on the bench this time.
If it was on the opposite side, like our player, like if it was reversed, I don't know if they could have held themselves back. I would hope, but I just don't know. I also want to add, Jonathan, Travis Kelce on his podcast with Jason Kelce, his brother, which is electric in and of itself. Travis Kelce said, which shouldn't really come as a surprise, but even he said in football there should be one fight a game where you just drop them and go. And
especially they're wearing helmets.
Yeah, for sure. But I hope, like, they would rip them off and just go. That would be incredible to me. But listen, we're not the only ones that are people. Like I said, the right thing to say, Jonathan, is I don't endorse any type of thing and whatever. And granted, the Detroit thing, those announcers, they went crazy about the whole thing. Like, they loved that it happened. If people bashed them, I don't know, man. Am I saying the wrong thing?
I'm fine with it. I'm honestly, this might not be the politically correct thing to say. I'm fine with what happened. I'm okay with it.
Yeah. I mean,
now, if Mo Bamba said something like really crazy out of line, that's another conversation. But we don't have that. All I have is the evidence that has been presented, and with the current amount of evidence, there was a lot of F around and find out going on. Both dudes effed around. Both dudes found out. They've got their suspensions. I don't think Jalen Suggs should have got one. That's my personal opinion. The Magic, luckily, it was non-consequential for the Magic. They still beat the Charlotte Hornets. He's going to be back Tuesday, so it's all good. The Orlando Fightin Magic, man. I like that. I want to see our guys, like 4 or 5 years ago, this never, ever happens. With like Aaron Gordon, Vooch, Evan Fournier, love them as I might. This never happens with that roster. And I like the fact that this is a young team, and still they're like, no, we are not going to take your crap. We don't care who you are, how long you've been in the league. Like, we are going to stick up for ourselves, and this is a chippy team when they need to be. I like that.
Yeah.
So do we want to talk about Luka Garza, like coming in and lighting the Magic up in that fourth quarter? He finished with 17 points, 7 of 9 from the floor. Made this game much closer than it needed to be. The Magic only win 127 to 120. Again, when they had a big lead in the fourth quarter, Cole Anthony, Mo Wagner, both were awesome in this game. The starters didn't really have it going all that much. It was really those two guys and Jalen Suggs coming in off the bench. Jonathan Isaac, another good game. We'll talk more about Jonathan Isaac in a little bit here. But the bench kept us in this game, helped extend that lead at the beginning of the fourth quarter. And, we always say a win is a win is a win. So even though the Magic should have won this game by 12 or 15, especially after everything that went down, to get out of there with a W, pretty sweet.
Yeah, no doubt.
You know what else is sweet? Papa John's, baby. Don't forget,
Papa.
After the day after every Magic victory, you can get 50% off your online order from Papa John's with code MAGICWIN. I just moved into a new house, Luke. The delivery fees that I will have to pay for Papa John's to deliver to this house, because it's about 20 minutes away, are going to be insane, but they're still going to be worth it. Because, again, that New York-style crust with the 3 cheese blend, you give me like 8 garlic sauces. I use like 2 slices to 1 garlic sauce. I will slam that all day. Are you a garlic sauce guy?
I am. I'm not to that extent, but
are you just dipping the crust? Because I'm dipping every bite in it.
No, it's pretty much every bite.
Respect.
For sure. Yeah, for sure.
All right, let's talk about this Hornets game from Sunday. Nice change of pace. Early tip-off on a Sunday, 1 o'clock. Got home from church. Hung out with the family for a little bit. Turned on the game. Sitting in my recliner. Got my little man with me. We're watching the Orlando Magic. Again, not a great start to this game. I think it was like 10 minutes into the first quarter I looked. Charlotte was shooting 73.8% from the floor. Like, the Magic's defense was completely non-existent. But the Magic's offense in stretches during this game, offensively, offensive rebounding, doing just enough to keep the Magic in for large stretches of this game. End up with a 4-point lead, I believe it was, at the half, 5-point lead going into the fourth quarter. Again, for me, it was the offensive rebounding. The Magic had 18 offensive rebounds in this game, good for 20-second chance points, and they shot 27 of 30 from the free throw line. To me, those are really what kept the Magic in this game, despite not so stellar defense at times, and allowed them to come away with the win. Second straight win. You end the road trip 3-1. Awesome.
Yeah, and I think that the best part is that it really wasn't a great game from either Franz or Paolo. Paolo's free throws and his ability to get to the line is going to save his stat line a lot of the time. But just close your eyes when you look at his efficiencies, because he has been riding the struggle bus, shooting like sub 40% in his last 10, 15, 20 games, I think. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but y'all can look it up. But I'm pretty positive that's the case. And Franz doesn't have a good shooting night. He's 5 of 16, 2 of 5 from 3, only shoots 2 free throws. But you got a solid effort from pretty much everybody else. Caleb Houston, stroke that thing, cuzzo. You know what I'm saying?
You have no idea. When I texted you guys that, I had it in Twitter ready to hit send. I'm like, oh, I don't know. It was all caps. It was Caleb, stroke that thing, cuzzo, Houston. And I was about to hit send. And I'm like, ooh, I don't know if I should do this. So I just put it in the group chat. I'm like, they'll get a laugh out of it. I'll still kind of get my joke in there. Almost sent that to Twitter, but I decided against it.
That will always be funny. I really think it will. It's one of those things that, like, it's just always funny. But yes, he was clearly automatic from 3. He was 2 of 2. And then looking down the line here, Cole Anthony 4 of 8. Didn't hate anything really about his performance at all. Bull looked okay in this, but 2 turnovers. This guy just always has turnovers. I'm like, I don't know what you're doing out there. But you just get a really complete team effort. Fultz has 16 and 5, 3 steals. And Gary Harris, 2 of 4 from 3, just doing what he needs to do. And obviously I can't forget Win Daddy. I'm wearing the shirt. 6-Man Show, the 6manshow.com/shop, by the way. Yep. Win Daddy shirt, get yours. He went 20 and 12. So listen, I really love that despite the 2 stars of the team not really doing much of anything, you were still able to win this game. This all goes back to, by the way, refer to point A, the Hornets suck. JT Thor went like 1 of 4 from the free throw line, starting from that 4:30 mark until the end of the game. Plumlee missed many free throws as well. The Hornets shoot, Jonathan, 47% from the free throw line. They shoot 11 of 23 from the line. If you're shooting a respectable amount, you're able to win this game. And they're free for a reason. The Magic hit 90% of their free throws. Could say that free throws were the difference between win and loss in this game for both teams. Magic shoot 30 of them, and they only missed 3. So great job at the line for the Magic. Able to take care of business, win the ones that you should win. And let's try to get a win again on Tuesday against the Knicks.
And again, I just come back to 18 offensive rebounds. Like that's insane. When you go down, like Franz had 3, Paolo had 2, Wendell had 3, Gary had 1, Markelle had 1, J.I. had 4. Everybody that saw game time for the Magic had at least 1 offensive rebound today.
The Hornets are not a good rebounding team at all.
They're not
terrible,
but still hilarious. And this is going to be kind of painful, but you brought it up, so I figured we would go through it. Paolo Banchero, last 10 games, 17.5 points per game. He's shooting 34.7% from the floor. Last 15 games, 18.2 points, shooting 37.8% from the floor. Last 20 games, averaging 18.4 points, shooting 37.9% from the floor. So last 20 games, rough stretch for Paolo Banchero, but like you said, he makes up for it in getting to the free throw line so much. And teams are definitely adjusting. The film is out on Paolo and Franz and those guys, and really their teammates are going to have to continue to respond. Paolo has definitely improved the last 20 games, passing out of those double teams and finding his open teammates, especially Gary Harris. Gary Harris has been taking advantage of those opportunities. The more and more that they are able to find their teammates quickly out of those traps and double teams, and those teammates continue to knock down shots. This is where, the concern at the beginning of the year, like the Magic's lack of shooting, you want a lot of shooting around Paolo and around Franz Wagner, because when they need to pass out of those double teams, you need guys who are going to make those shots to essentially make those opponents pick their poison. Are you going to let Paolo go one-on-one, or are you going to give a sharpshooter an open 3? You kind of really have to make that decision. And if you don't have consistent shooting around those guys, then the spacing really just evaporates. So those guys are figuring it out. The Magic are still finding ways to win games, which is really encouraging. And hopefully guys will just continue to knock down threes. Caleb Houston today. Caleb Houston gets me so excited, because that is the guy that the Magic desperately need to pan out, because his release is so smooth and so quick. You find him for an open 3. If he's making those at a consistent rate, he is going to be awesome, and he is going to find minutes and find a role on this team. So that was really, really encouraging. And it was just encouraging that the Magic won another game. Again, second game in a row. You go 3-1 on the road trip. You've got the Knicks coming into town on Tuesday night. So awesome win for the Orlando Magic. Luke, one person that I want to talk about that we haven't really talked too much about since he's been back is Jonathan Isaac and just the impact that he is making on the floor for the Orlando Magic. So far, through 5 games, back with the Magic are 4-1 with Jonathan Isaac in the lineup. In 9 minutes a game, he's averaging 6.2 points, 2.8 rebounds, 1.4 steals. Not too many blocks just yet. The explosiveness and the timing is starting to come back, but it seems like every time he's in the game, he kind of has more in him and hasn't really been able to break out all that much beyond like the tight minutes restriction. So I know this is going to be a hot topic. I know people hate this, but just for a little bit of fun, I found this really interesting. It's his per 36. Per 36 minutes, Jonathan Isaac is averaging 24.3 points per game. Let's also talk about the fact he's shooting 52% from the floor. He's shooting 44% from the 3-point line. Per 36, averaging 11 rebounds, 2 assists, 5.5 steals per 36. When I saw that, I was like, my freaking goodness, Jonathan Isaac. That is insane. So per 36 numbers doesn't really mean anything. It's just an indication that a guy might be able to play better with an increase of minutes and might be able to contribute more. So Jonathan Isaac has been fantastic, especially defensively. It doesn't look like he's missed a beat there. I feel like he is going to continue to, as he grows in confidence, with his body and trusting his body again, we're going to see that lateral quickness come back. We're going to see, that first and second jump quickness start to come back. But right now, his on-off numbers, he has a plus 3.2 on differential. So the Magic are plus 3.2 points per 100 possessions better with Jonathan Isaac on the floor. And this, to me, is the craziest thing. Again, incredibly, let me just preface this before like the Reddit people and YouTube and everybody gets really mad at me. This is an incredibly small sample size. We should not draw any conclusions from this. But when I saw this, I literally almost spit out my water. Jonathan Isaac's on-off defensive numbers, the Magic's defensive rating is negative 9.8 points better per 100 possessions with Jonathan Isaac on the floor. By all means, the guy who is going to end up being the defensive player of the year, like the heavy favorite right now, is Jaren Jackson Jr. He ranks in the 97th percentile at his position. He is at negative 8.3. Jonathan Isaac is at negative 9.8. He is making an incredible impact defensively while he is on the floor. Small sample size. But when I saw that, I was like, my goodness, that is a world of a difference when this kid is on the floor.
Yeah, it is. And the most impressive thing, like you said, is blocks. He's not doing too much of that. Had one against the Hornets, but hasn't been doing what we were used to at one point. But what he is doing is, like you said, his steals. The fact that he's able to average almost 1.4 steals in 9 minutes is crazy. And obviously it brings light to it when you bring up what it is per 36. It feels like he's getting one of those rip steals every single game. Player makes the crossover, he pokes it out of his hand, we're going the other way. And quite literally, the stats show he is getting one of those every game. Almost 1.5. And so it's been really good to see his turnaround jumper game is filthy. We've talked about that. I think that if he is, we can get him to 15 minutes a game, I'd love that. He's not shooting great from the free throw line, but he's only shot 3 free throws, I think. And he's 1 for 3 in his trips to the line. So the more minutes you give this guy, I think defensively he will just continue to develop highlights and reasons why you should trust him to be a part of this team's future. I know he's still earning the trust of people. That's not beyond me and something that I definitely understand. But I really think that that this guy is able to be a game changer with a full bag of minutes. If this guy next year can play 25, 30 minutes, we expect him to be fully ramped next year, it's going to be scary. And if you can end the season on a high note, get Jonathan Isaac playing in a play-in game, maybe a playoff series, you won't see him a ton, I'm sure, but it would be nice to see what he can do in the postseason against some of these top stars. And you see it. He gets the trust of the coach already. Comes in, he's already on the star player.
Every single time.
Every single time.
It's like, he's guarding Anthony Edwards. All right. Missed 904 days. Let's go.
Yeah. So the team trusts him. The front office clearly trusts him. I'm really excited for the future of this kid. And I think that he can continue to develop and show us things so much that I really, there's just not a way that I don't see him being a part of this future long term.
Again, small sample size. 1.4 steals per game would be tied for 6th in the league. Just throwing that out there. Okay?
In 9 minutes right now. 1.4 steals.
In 9 minutes.
Yeah.
Kid still seems pretty good to me. I don't know ball that much, but this kid still seems pretty freaking good.
Speaking of Jalen Suggs defensively, that kid has been playing out of his mind he was already to us like an elite on ball perimeter defender. And what the last 5-10 games, he looks different. Like defensively, he looks even better, which is crazy. And makes you give him a longer leash for sure when it comes to the offensive side of the ball. I don't know that Jalen Suggs will ever be a superstar. I don't think he will be. But I do know that he is becoming an elite defender in this league.
Jalen Suggs is good, some have said. Got that dog in him, as the kids say. Confirmed. Let's go ahead and take a look at the week ahead, Luke. So as we mentioned, coming up on Tuesday, the Magic will be at home. 3 home games this week to take on the New York Knicks again on Tuesday at 7 o'clock. Then you've got Wednesday off. Thursday, you're home for Denver. Again, that game tips off at 7 o'clock. And then on Saturday, the Magic will wrap up the week at home against the Miami Heat. I will be at that game, by the way. And that game tips off at 7 o'clock.
I'll be at that game.
You'll be at that game. I'll be at that game. Our buddy Fazan, who writes for the sixmanshow.com, he's flying all the way from Dallas to come and hang out and cover that game. Who are you going to that game with?
I'm just going with a buddy of mine.
Maybe a little dinner after? Maybe we can talk offline? Get some dinner after? All right.
Maybe.
We'll talk about it. Yeah. I'll start. So I got the Magic going 2-1 on this week. I think you get the win against the Knicks on Monday. I think the Magic are playing really well. They're in a good rhythm. It is a winnable game, I will say. Magic will not be favored in this game. Magic won't be favored in any of these games this week. But I'm feeling optimistic. I'm picking the Magic to win Tuesday against the New York Knicks, losing to Denver on Thursday. It was close last time. Denver's really freaking good. I just think they'll find a way to win. And then Saturday, the Magic are catching the Miami Heat on the second night of a back-to-back. They'll be at home on Friday to play the Cleveland Cavaliers, and then they'll be on the road Saturday night in Orlando to take on our Orlando Magic. It was close last time. I feel like the Magic should have won that game against the Heat. And I'm picking the Magic to get the W here. 2-1.
All right. I'm doing this because I have to get different. I don't know. I think last week, Kevin's prediction, we said Kevin's prediction would be yours. I said the Magic would go 1-3. Or whatever it was. I don't remember, but I said 1 win, I think.
You were wrong.
And
you were so wrong.
And I was dead wrong. And Kev said 2-2, but we went 3-1, right? So nobody would
I don't
win.
think
So
I would have said 3-1. Probably not.
Right.
2
so,
and
that's
2
a draw
feels like
anyway.
my optimistic self.
Right. So I have to get different this week. I think I'm ahead by 1 right now in terms of weeks 1 in this. So I'm going to get different. I'm going 1-2. I'm saying you drop to the Knicks, you drop to the Nuggets, and the Heat have a game in Miami the night before So it's a back-to-back for them. Not a very worthy opponent. They've got the Rockets, who are missing some key guys right now. I think that they
I'm
might...
looking at the wrong matchup against the Magic. I'm looking at March 11th instead of February 11th. Dadgummit, I feel not so good about that now, but I'm still going to say 2-1.
Okay. Well, then I'm going 1-2. I say the Heat coming off a back-to-back. You're at home. You're settling into this homestand. It's the final game of the homestand with 3 games. I think that they get this one against Miami.
What do you think the over-under is for the amount of fights the Magic get into the rest of the season? Do you think we see one more, or do you think we're done for the year?
I think we're done. I think it's crazy that we got 2. I think we're done, but maybe there's more.
It's such a rarity in the NBA that you see like actual punches being thrown.
For sure. You're making like all of the social media outlets if you get in a fight. The Magic were everywhere, just like that Detroit game.
Yeah. Even though I don't mind it, it's just not good for business. I don't want to be that team. Oh, great, the Magic are coming into town. Like,
dirty.
Get your cup man ready. Get the bucket to spit your blood in after the second quarter. I don't want to be the brawlers of the NBA. But hey, if that's what it takes, the Orlando Fightin Magic, baby, I'm all about it. So, but yeah, hopefully no more fights the rest of the year here. Don't forget, folks, I know we talked about this, coming up on March 3rd when the Magic take on the Charlotte Hornets. We'll be at Burton's at 801 East Washington Street starting at 6:30 for another awesome watch party where the Magic are going to extend the 6-man show Orlando Magic Michelob Ultra win streak to 5 games. We'll make this 5-1 on the year. And yeah, let's keep winning games. This has been fun. Luke, I think that's going to do it for us. Anything else?
Oh, that's about it.
Let's wrap it up. For Luke Sylvia, this has been Jonathan Osborne. You guys are listening to The 6-Man Show, and we will catch you guys next time. See ya. Thanks for listening to The 6th Man Show. Be sure to subscribe on iTunes and Spotify to get new episodes downloaded directly to your phone. If you enjoyed the show, please take a minute to give us a 5-star rating and a review. It helps out the show a lot. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at 6th Man Show. We'll catch you guys next time. Go Magic!